Hello everyone, and welcome back to our BMP1 project. I'm gonna show you what we did so far. Alright, so there's been some... hold on a second. Climb on it. Alright, we're making a gun for it. Alright, I think guys are messing around a little bit. Okay, oh yeah. That's how you drift a forklift. Well, it's almost a drift. Okay, getting back to what I was saying. All right, so yeah, our job was, I mentioned earlier in the previous video that this project will be static display only. So I'm basically making a gun for it. It's, of course, as you can see, it's not a real gun. It's a fake gun, but my job is to try to make it look as realistic as possible. So we'll see. So far, this is what I did. Let me show you. Okay, the toughest part right now, I'm working on the gun mask, and basically just making a templates out of cardboard, cutting the metal, and welding it together. Pretty simple. And then, as you can see, we tried to kind of repeat like on the real one. Like you have the recoil system on it, and now how I did it was, okay, this thing comes off. How I did it, I welded these spacers on right here this way, so this tube sits on this one properly, and it's the same thing goes for that tube too. So the spacers are here, and then there's spacers somewhere around here too. So, and then we welded the... Alright, I had a little bit of a hard time. Yep, that's it. Okay, for now, I mean, I don't think it's too bad. And the same thing for this tube. There are also spacers welded to this pipe right there, and on two sides right here. I am trying to repeat these angles because the problem, the gun mask on the real one is cast iron mask. So, and trying to make that look like a real thing is pretty hard with just straight sheets of metal. So my plan is to do that first. Make the casing out of sheets of steel, and then once I'm done with that, I will actually weld some like a steel wire mesh to it, and then I'm thinking about using like an automotive bondo to give it that cast iron look. So, well, we'll see. Oh, wait a second. Something pretty cool is happening right now. Okay. This one will be interesting for some of you that have been waiting on updates about the T62. So, Syrian T62 is right there. And as we speak, they're pulling the engine out. This is a new engine for it, because the old engine, it's not dead completely. It is rebuildable, but it's a lot of work. So the other engine is still on the stand in the shop. But this is going to be the one that will go into this tank. It doesn't have any major issue. It runs really well as far as we know. The guys did some work to it. But yeah, this is it. We also built a stand for it. Well, the guys, not me. The guys built a stand for it, like a test stand. So in the future, we can test the engines before they actually go into the vehicle. It's, saves us a lot of work.
Tilt forward. Actually, hold on.
So, okay, I guess, the guys are going to test the engine right here outside, because doing that in the shop, it's probably going to rattle the walls. That thing is pretty loud without the exhaust system. All right, yeah, this is the air system. That's the air start system. So each one of these lines go into the cylinders, and you have a pressurized tank inside the tank. So that's what turns the engine over.
All right, tilt forward.
Okay, while the guys are preparing the engine, I'm just gonna give you a little bit of an update on the T62, and then I'm gonna come back to a BMP1. So we'll do, I guess, like a 2-in-1 video. Okay, so this is a 62. It's back in the shop. Sorry about the frame. That's another vehicle that's being restored. It's a British Land Rover. This is it. It's sitting in the shop. The engine is out of it, as you already know. That's what's going to go in what you saw. So, yeah, that's what the engine bay looks like without the engine. So yeah, pulling the motor out of this thing is a pain. It sometimes takes hours. I mean, I'm sure at the factory at Uralvagonzavod they do it much quicker, but you know, they built these things. So okay, yeah, this is the engine that came out of this tank. That's the one when you saw it drive in my videos last, when we started that engine, the first engine start. This is it. That's the actual one. It's still a good engine, but I mean, it needs work. It's got issues. It's got some seals need to be replaced. Also, one of the heads, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's right here. The head is leaking. So, and as far as I remember, if I remember correctly, there's another problem because on this engine, oh wait, I think it's on the other side. On this engine, you have two pumps that I believe they run off one shaft, and then there's like a chamber in between that's kept dry, and there are seals in that chamber. So you got one shaft that drives two pumps. The chamber is, so if one of them leaks, it fills up the chamber and it's supposed to come out of the chamber, but sometimes that chamber gets clogged up and basically it blows, kind of, I guess, blows the seals. We suspect that that's the problem with this engine, so that engine definitely needs to be repaired and rebuilt. And I guess just for the hell of it, let me give you another shot of the view from the inside of this tank without the turret. Hold on a second. Hopefully I don't kill myself doing this. But yep, I know you've seen it before in my other videos, but just for the hell of it. Okay, yeah, these are the ammo bins. And these ammo bins, they're not only ammo bins, they're also fuel tanks too. So there's fuel in between. And I know some of you may think that that's an insane idea. Actually not, because a diesel fuel, it doesn't ignite on an impact. So in a way, it actually gives some degree of extra safety to the ammunition from like an impact of the debris inside the tank in case the tank is penetrated. So it sounds crazy, but the fuel being around those actually adds a little bit of protection to the ammunition. But yeah, this is right here. It says внешний запуск in Russian. That means like exterior start. And then that's the insides. This is the panel I restored. You've seen that video too. Yeah, what I did on this panel, I also added some translation to everything. So pusk, which means start. Here it's oil pump, here start. So yeah, it took me a while to restore this one, but so yeah, I mean, it's all the same from last time. And these are the cans right here. This is for the air start of the engine. I showed you earlier the air lines. That's where the air comes from these air cans. And yeah, you got this. This is basically all of your controls for your transmission. They run all through the hole right here. This is the preheater. You also saw Scott talking about this in the T55. Same thing here in the T62, only in the T62 is slightly smaller. They redesigned it, made it a bit more compact. And the tank, the T62, is actually larger than a 55. I'm sure many of you know. It's wider and longer, so I mean, it adds to a little bit of comfort to the crew. And yeah, some of you, also I'm sure some of you that are watching this are like scale model builders, so you might appreciate this. So what all the other components except for the engine look like inside this tank. Look at the size of that fan. That's crazy. I mean, okay, this right here, this is an oil tank. That's where most of the oil is. Since this type of an engine, the V55 engine, doesn't hold a lot of oil, again, as Scott mentioned in the videos, most of the oil is in that tank. And these right here, this is what the engine rests on. right here. These two bolts here, and then also same thing here. So it's like hardened steel frame. I mean, that engine is pretty heavy, even though it's aluminum, but it's still a heavy engine. So yeah, this is your gearbox that transfers power. This is your electric starter, and this right here, that's an air pump that pumps air into these tanks right here, these air tanks. So that's part of the air start system. Once again, more of a detailed explanation if you watch the T55 AMS video, and Scott explains it all in greater detail. And these are your exhaust ports. So when the engine, is in, the exhaust ports get bolted to this, obviously. It's pretty self-explanatory. Then you got the exterior oil tanks, I think, some toolboxes. And what else? Well, this is the hatch right here. It's pretty heavy, the thickness of that steel. Yeah, has to be. And that's it. And these are inside this tube. That's where your electrical lines are, basically just to add protection to it. Your electrical lines for your headlights, which are missing right now. I'm sure we'll put that back on once the tank is running. And then there's also for the electrical for the marker lights. What else can I show you? Well, that's about it. Again, this is maybe more for model builders, but yeah, just to show you this is what the hull looks like. And another tank. Scott, this is fuel tank, right, on the inside?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a fuel tank, yeah. Okay, that's about it on this part. All right, the guys are getting ready to start the engine. I see they got the air. They're going to use the air to start it. And now they're checking they have that hand pump to pump fuel into it. So yeah, that's what
they going
Richie's
like
doing.
gangbusters over there.
Oh yeah, and this tank right here, that's oil. So this baby takes a lot of oil. Yep. And that's how the oil came in these buckets, like industrial size 5-gallon buckets. I've never seen that much oil before at once. Okay, well, let's see. That's the first try. I guess yeah, they're pumping the oil into the engine.
Crank it. Leave that on. Crank it. Get ready with the brake plate on. Ready? Yeah.
Using a tank. Okay, guys are still trying to get this thing going, so yeah, this is all right. So far, it's being a little stubborn. All right, yeah, looks like we got some issues with the fuel.
Fuel leak. So you're just bleeding error. Yeah. And dirty fuel. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, it looks like we got some air in the system, in the fuel system. So, and that's not supposed to be that way. So you guys are trying to figure this out. Okay, so yeah, once again, the air is the issue. The oil is getting through the engine, so it's working. The oil system's doing its thing, but it's the air in the fuel that's obviously pulling that air from somewhere. And as I was just explained, there's supposed to be absolutely no air, zero air in the diesel engines in their fuel system.
Ready? Go.
Running oil through the engine.
Throttle. Okay, go.
Yeah, so there's a problem with the fuel system.
So good.
So the engine runs, but it runs on the ether stuff or whatever, just starting fluid. Yeah, it doesn't run on its own. So
probably getting air right here.
Okay, so here we have on the bench the fuel pump out of the V55 engine, and as you've just seen in the previous section of the video, we had some starting issues. So that particular engine, we don't know how long ago it was running. So we've come to learn that, as you saw during the video, that constant turnover, we had fuel. We did actually move all the air out of the fuel lines. We still didn't have a start. So the next point of adjustment would be to remove the fuel pump out of the engine and see what's going on. So before we go into the issues we found, this is the fuel pump. It's purely all mechanical, just a few of the components. So this section here, the spline, that is actually tied into the air start system on that side of the engine. You've seen in videos previously. Moving along, all your fuel points are up here to the top. And then this side of the pump is the accelerator actuating. So there's a plunger down the bottom here and a feed arm which will go under this plate, which we'll go through in a minute. This section is oil filled with oil to assist all the mechanical components in here. It's not part of the engine, it's just a separate oil sump. And then this side here this valley gets filled completely with diesel. So going into this right now. So these are all your ports to get your fuel injection. This here is your accelerator linkage arm. So as you can see there, what that's doing is every time you hit the accelerator, you're opening up these fuel ports, which are in demand for more fuel or less fuel. Then it's spring loaded, so when it's kicked all the way back there, the tank is off. So essentially, behind this linkage here, there's an arm, which you can't see, there's an arm that runs on the back side of all these ports, which acts like a lever and actuates them. The issue that we found was that mechanical arm was stuck. It just sat for so long, dry. All we had to do was pull this rear cover plate, get some lubrication on there, get some movement through it, and we actually freed up this arm here. So essentially in that last section of the video, all our fuel was clear, we had good fuel. The issue was the tank was just thinking that it was off. So regardless of how much we were turning it over, there was no fuel actually getting pulled out of the fuel valley here. But now that we have this freed up, we'll go back out, we'll reinstall this, we'll try it again, and then see how we go from there. All right.
There's an engine start. It should work now.
3, 2, 1.
Hell yeah.
Give it some fuel stuff.
Oh, shit.
Gotta make some heat with the fuel stuff.
That was beautiful.
Can you get some more diesel, mate?
It worked.
Yeah.
Ah, you guys did it. All right, one more time, test run.
Yeah, I think it's timing now.
All right, the guys now adjusted the timing on it, so
Hold on.
this is
Gonna put a ring back on, so that way the coupling doesn't fly off when we start.
okay.